Hey everyone, I've seen Obsessed Al do this. She had a bookmark which said 50 books to read before you die, and she looked at how many books of those she had and which she didn't have. And if you're like me, you love comparing what you've read and what you've owned to all the lists that are out there, like the BBC 100 or books to read. And so that's what I want to do now. I want to go through that list of 50 books and tell you what I've read, what I have, and what I haven't read. Number 1 is The Lord of the Rings trilogy, which I have read, but I borrowed from my brother, so I don't have it. Number 2 is 1984 by George Orwell, which I started to read in school, but then we watched the film and I was not interested in finishing the book. Should have read it. Number 3, Pride and Prejudice. Read multiple times, liked after the 5th time first. Number 4, The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. I haven't read and I don't own a copy. Number 5, To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, which I read about 20 years ago. Number 6, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Read recently and loved. Number 7, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I read recently as well, but I didn't really understand why people think it's such a great book. Number 8, A Passage to India by E.M. Forster. I haven't read that book and I don't know anything about it. Number 9, Lord of the Flies by William Goldman. I have seen the film in school and I really didn't like the story, so I'm not interested in reading it at all. Number 10 is Hamlet by Shakespeare, and I could have sworn that I have read it, but I don't have a single copy of it. I only have it in the combined collection that I own, so I probably didn't read it, but I've watched multiple film adaptations. Number 11, Bend in the River by V.S. Naipaul. Never heard of it, but I heard of Naipaul, so maybe I should check that out. Number 12, A Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Read it multiple times and loved it. 13, The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. Just a great coming-of-age story. 14 is The Belger by Sylvia Plath, which I haven't read yet, but it's on the list of books I want to read at some point in my life. Same goes for number 15, Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Number 16 is Anne Frank's Diary, which I have not read either, and cannot say I want to be honest. Number 17 is Don Quixote by Cervantes, and you may or may not remember that I started this book, postcard, and didn't like the translation and cannot get into it, so I don't know if I'll ever finish it. Number 18 is the Bible. I don't have a copy. I cannot say I read all of it. I'm pretty sure I read some of it, but definitely not the whole book. Number 19 are the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer, and I clearly would like to read them, but I don't know if I ever will. Ulysses by James Joyce is a book I started in university. I couldn't handle the classwork, so I dropped out of the class, and I still want to finish it and reread it, at least the parts that I read already, but I'm not sure if I ever will, because it's Ulysses and it's difficult and big. 21, The Quiet American by Graham Greene. I haven't read, but I do want to read more of Graham Greene. 22, Birdsong by Sebastian Faulks is a book I do want to read. 23 is Money by Martin Amis, and every time I look at a Martin Amis book, I just put it back on the shelf, so maybe I should pick up Money at some point. 24 is the Harry Potter series, which of course I've read. 25 is Moby Dick by Herman Melville, which I own a copy of, but I haven't read, and I'm not sure if I want to read this big monster about the whale. 26 is The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. I read it, but I wasn't overly impressed by it. 27 is Dark Materials by Philip Pullman, and I really loved that series. 28 is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, and we all know I just managed to finish listening to the audiobook. 29 is Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, and I noticed I've never read it. I don't even have the book. I should change that. Number 30, Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I do want to know what this is about. Half of BookTube read it last year, at least feels like it, and I really want to read it. 31, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon is an awesome book, and if you haven't read it, you should definitely pick it up now. 32, On the Road by Jack Kerouac is an awesome road novel. It just makes you want to go on a road trip. 33, The Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. Yeah, I read it, didn't like it. 34, The Way We Are Now by Anthony Trollope. Never heard of it. At least I can't remember, and so I haven't read it. 35, The Outsider by Albert Camus. I do want to read Albert Camus at some point in my life, but I think I want to read The Stranger first. 36, The Color Purple by Alice Walker was recommended to me a lot lately, and I do want to read it. 37, Life of Pi by Yann Martel was a really awesome story. I loved the writing. 38 is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I did not like the original, but I do love the Chris Grimley version, which uses the original text. 39, War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. I've seen the film, but I have never read the book. Needs to be changed. Number 40, Men Without Women by Ernest Hemingway. I haven't read that, and I really don't know where to start with Hemingway or when I will get to that. 41, Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. I know that I know the story, but I have never read the book. 42, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I listened to this on audiobook last Christmas for the first time. Shame on me. 43, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. I know I had a class on it, and I'm pretty sure I know all the story, but I cannot remember reading it. But I must have, because I had a long class on it. 44, Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe. I know I never went to this class, so I never read this book. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey. I started reading it, I watched the film, but I never finished the book. Should change that. 46, Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. I love this book, it's so random and crazy and it's just hilarious. 47, The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Now, you might be astonished, my book is very short. It's a German translation, I don't know. I'm really not interested in reading a big Monte Cristo story. I've seen tons of films about it, I know the story, but I don't know if I want to read the abridged version. I've never read this. I think it's my parents, and for some reason I took it with me. 48, Memoirs of a Geisha by Arthur Golden is a really interesting story about how to become a geisha and how the life of a geisha really works. 49, The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. I only own the Inferno, and I've never read the whole thing or anything by him, but I do want to. And the last, number 50, is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, which I've read and liked. This was fun. If you like comparing what you've read and what you haven't read with lists as well, just make a video like this and tell me about it, or tell me in comments how many of the books you have read and how many you want to read that you haven't read yet. Because I definitely don't want to read all of the 50 books, but most of them. It's a good list. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you soon.